Hey, it's Big Lou with Big Lou Barbecue and other things I want to do. And what we're doing today is cracklins, fried cracklins and smoked cracklins. We're going to smoke them after we fry them. Oh yeah, I love cracklins. In fact, I was recently interviewed by Hobo at Hobo Nickel Barbecue. He's got this interview show on Thursday nights on YouTube. Check it out, where he interviews other YouTube cooks. And I was honored that he interviewed me. I really was. And on that, another guy who had been interviewed, actually I think the week before, Matthew Barlow at Barlow Barbecue, typed in a question, said, "Hey Big Lou, what is your guilty food pleasure?" Well, that was an easy question. Cracklins. Cracklins. All right. And my wife was in the back. She goes, "Oh yeah, he eats too much cracklins because they're not real good for you, but they make me smile." And that means they're health food, because people who smile and laugh a lot live longer than people who are in misery. So since cracklins make me smile, I figure they're health food. All right. Actually, what are cracklins? Cracklins are a byproduct of the lard rendering process. Now, they're a real popular snack food here in South Louisiana, and a lot of the Cajun meat markets and stuff will sell cracklins. Usually that is from the pork belly because it has a thicker layer of fat on it. But you can make cracklins from just about any part of the pig skin. And in fact, I did a little research, and one of the major pork rind and cracklin producers that produces it for a lot of some snack foods and everything use the skins from the shoulder. When the meat processors process the meat, they give the skins or sell the skins to the cracklin and pork rind producer. Now, what's the difference? Pork rinds don't have the fat on them. Usually they'll boil off the fat and then dehydrate the rind, and then you can fry that up into what they call little pellets. Or you can scrape all the fat off and work to get it all off, and just do the pork rind like that. And they get real fluffy, kind of like Rice Krispies. But cracklins, they're a little harder. That's why they call them cracklins. By the way, that is cracklins with an apostrophe S. The singular is cracklin. The last letter of the word is apostrophe, not a G. Do not say crackling. You'll sound like a doofus. Nobody says crackling. It's cracklin. Doesn't have a G on it. I'm just telling you, it doesn't have a G. In fact, in Spanish and in French they're called gratons, and in Spanish they're called chichirones. And the way that works is like chichirones sin grasa, that's pork rinds. Chichirones con grasa, that's cracklins. In other words, you're saying pork skin with the fat, pork skin without the fat, in both French and Spanish. But in English, we got two different words: cracklin with an apostrophe, and pork rinds. Cracklins have the fat on it. It's basically a byproduct of the lard rendering process. Anyway, I did some pork shoulders on the smoker. And the cool thing about the picnic shoulders, they come with the skin, and you can take the skin and you can make cracklins. You can also get some lard if you want to use lard in baking, frying, whatever. It's probably not good for you to use it all the time, but it's not bad for you to use it sometimes. It makes good biscuits, lard does. It really does. Anyway, let me show you how we do this. This intro's gone long enough, but I tell you what, I'm excited. My guilty food pleasure, cracklins! Big Lou Barbecue. Okay, so this is the top side with the skin on it. Now, we're gonna turn the skin into cracklins. The way you remove it, right back here is a little short piece, and you just wanna kinda cut right through there, and then just start trimming it off with the fat, like this. All right, at this point, we're gonna go high speed, all right?
You wanna have your knife honed up pretty much sharp. And you just kind of cut on away.
Let's try the fillet knife. Yep, fillet knife's getting after it a little better. So we're gonna go with the fillet knife. Fillet knife's either sharper or just working better. Sometimes I gotta get this done with the fillet knife.
We're gonna try to cut as much of the fat off as we can, but not all the fat, because we want some of it to base this meat as it renders out. But we want good cracklins too, so we're gonna need to have some of this with the fat on it. And try not to score the meat too bad, because we definitely want most of this to be pulled pork, not cracklins, the meat anyway. And then it just comes on off like this, because this part I'll probably be voicing over, so you never won't hear it. Alright, so we got...
That is going to be turned into cracklins, right there. Okay, I've got one of the 2 pork skins stretched out flat on a little cutting board. And you're going to need a sharp knife. Now this is the barbecue knife I used this morning, and I did sharpen it between them. Or you're going to need kitchen shears. As I actually find it easier with kitchen shears, but I'll show you both methods. All right, you just cut it into about 1-inch squares. So I'll just cut a strip off like this, and then they don't have to be perfectly square, but about that size or so. That's, you know, like that. And then if you're using kitchen shears, you would do it this way. Just, well, these kitchen shears need sharpening, don't they? There we go. A sharp knife's easier for me now because the knife's sharp. If you don't have a sharp knife, the kitchen shears will be easier, but just about, 1-inch squares or so. I'll put them in this bowl over here. I'll cut both these skins up and I'll meet you out at the stove. We're gonna cook them outside. Big Lou barbecue. All right, now, if you have some lard left over from the last time you did a cook, you can go ahead and put about maybe a teaspoon or so in the bottom just to keep the first few from sticking. If not, do it this way. I do have lard left over, but I'm gonna do it this way because if you're doing this for the first time, you probably wouldn't. So what I do is I just take a few pieces. These kind of get sacrificed and go to the dog. And I just put them right there on the bottom and let them sizzle out for a little bit. And render out a little bit of lard for the bottom so that the rest don't stick. So these are probably going to be too hard to eat, but they're going to render out some of that lard first. Okay, as you can see here, these have started to render some of the lard, and I don't think I'm going to have to sacrifice them. Sometimes they'll burn a little bit. They did burn a little bit, and I may give it to the dog. You go, ooh, that's hot, man, but you can see it burned a little bit. But what I did is I got enough of that lard to coat the bottom of this pot where I can now throw in the rest of them. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is just dump in the rest of them. And they're gonna start to render out their own lard and then fry in their own lard. All right, those 2 burned ones, they're not ready yet. And if I don't like the way they look when the process is over, I'll give them to the dog. Probably will. Anyway, they'll be too hard to eat by the time this process is over. But the rest of them are going to be fine. Actually, I think I'm going to go ahead and pull them out now. And just give them to my dogs just like that. They cook well enough that the dogs can eat them. Gonna let the rest of these fry up in the cracklins. I'm gonna keep stirring and stirring. The lard's gonna begin to render, and they'll be frying in their own fat here in just a little bit. Okay, I'm continuing to stir it, and the lard is beginning to render. Starting to see more down there. Before too long, they'll all have enough lard out that they'll all be floating in it. Okay, a little update just a few minutes later. You can really see that lard starting to pour out on the bottom there and pile up. All right. For too long, they'll all be floating in their own lard. And that's how we cook it. You can see what I'm talking about right there in the bottom of this old pot. By the way, this pot dates back to somewhere between about World War II era. They stopped making these shortly after World War II. It's an old Volrathware pot. Here's the lid. Volrathware, if you can see that in the camera. I don't know if you can. There you go, right there. Volrathware 45. All right, love this old cast iron pot. Okay, another update. You can see that lard's really beginning to render out, but it's still got a ways to go. This whole process can take about 30 to 45 minutes. You just kind of got to be patient. And as you can see, they're really beginning to fry in the lard that they all rendered out, or are rendering out. And we're just gonna keep them frying, try to keep the skin side down. And I can kind of quit stirring them at this point. Once I get up, now I still need to stir them, but I don't need to stir them quite as often or continue to stir them. If I can get them all just kind of frying in that lard. By the way, it's good for your cast iron too. I'm just saying, it's good for your cast iron. All right. You see what we're doing here. I'll be back when they're done. Right, now I'm pulling them out and I'm putting them on some paper towel to dry. We're gonna let them cool off a little bit. And then we're gonna put them back in here and let the skins fry up a little bit more. Actually, what I'm gonna do is put them in the smoker. Okay, what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna put these inside this little basket right here, and we're gonna set them in the smoker for a little while and get some smoke flavor on them before we season them, all right? I'm gonna use my hands. All right, let's take a look inside the drum smoker. Cracklin's been going for about an hour. So I'm gonna get them out of here and we're gonna put them back in the deep fryer. Now these skins get a little leathery and soft. You can kind of see how it's bending like that. And we want it crispy. You see what I'm talking about? So we're gonna refry them, but they've got that hint of smoke flavor I was looking for. Okay, so I got the lard heated back up. I'm just dumping those back in there. Maybe it wasn't heated up fast enough. It will. And we're gonna fry them up a little bit more. They kind of took on a little gold, even darker golden brown color with the smoke. Rats, sharks, dead nabbit rats. I was just about to do the video where I pull them out of the grease and then put them on the thing and season them up. And the phone camera died. I've been doing 2 videos a day, one on the pork shoulders, one on the cracklins, and the phone camera died. Anyway, they look like that. Here's a little darker one. Family's just about eating them all up. Pull them out of the grease once they get crispy and put on your favorite Cajun Creole seasoning, all right? I make my own Cajun Creole seasoning, but put on whatever you want to. You know, you need to just do salt if you want to. Anyway. Listen and crunch. You take that hint of smoke too, that hint of the hickory smoke I got in there. All right, just not much, but just a little bit different than the fried. Anyway, delicious cracklins, and you can make them whenever you do a picnic roast. Eat them in moderation. They're not all that good for you. Big Lou Barbecue.